January 10, 2025, is going to go down in history. Why? Because Donald Trump just became the first U.S. president, whether former or incoming, to actually get sentenced in a criminal case. Yeah, you heard that right. This is all tied to his conviction back in May 2024, when he was found guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records. The case centered around a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 election. But here's where it gets wild. Trump didn't get jail time, no fines, no probation, nothing. Instead, the judge gave him something called an unconditional discharge. Now, what does that mean? Basically, an unconditional discharge is the lightest sentence you can get. It means Trump is convicted, but he faces no penalties, no prison time, no community service, no fines. It's like saying, you're guilty, but we're letting you walk away without consequences. And guess what? All of this is happening just 10 days before he's set to walk into the White House for a second term as the 47th president. Now, let's talk about the hearing because, honestly, it was anything but ordinary. It was held remotely, and the judge, Juan Merchan, made it clear that this wasn't your average sentencing. He called the trial ordinary, in some ways, but said the sentencing was a whole different story. Here's what Judge Merchan said about the case.
Never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. Indeed, it can be viewed fairly that this has been a truly extraordinary case. There was unprecedented media attention, public interest, and heightened security involving various agencies. And yet, the trial was a bit of a paradox because once the courtroom doors were closed, the trial itself was no more special, unique, or extraordinary than the other 32 criminal trials that took place in this courthouse at the same exact time. Jury selection was conducted, the same rules of evidence were followed, opening statements were made, witnesses called and cross-examined, evidence presented, summations delivered, the same burden of proof was applied, and a jury made up of ordinary citizens delivered a verdict. And it was all conducted pursuant to the rules of procedure and guided by the law. Of course, part of what made it feel somewhat ordinary was the outstanding work, preparation, and professionalism of the clerks, court officers, court reporters, security personnel, and the entire staff of this building who did their jobs as they would with any other criminal trial. So while one can argue that the trial itself was in many respects somewhat ordinary, the same cannot be said about the circumstances surrounding this sentencing. And that is because of the office you once occupied and which you will soon occupy again. To be sure, it is the legal protections afforded to the office of the President of the United States that are extraordinary, not the occupant of the office.
Okay, so what does he mean by that? Essentially, the judge is saying it's not Trump, the person, who's being protected, it's the presidency as an institution. These legal protections exist to make sure the office itself isn't weakened by criminal proceedings. It's a fine line between holding someone accountable and preserving the integrity of the presidency. So, how did Trump respond? Well, Trump being Trump, wasn't about to let this go quietly. About 20 minutes after the hearing, he jumped on Truth Social to vent. Here's a little taste of what he posted. This whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. The real jury, the American people, have spoken, by re-electing me with an overwhelming mandate. So, what's Trump really saying here? First, he's painting the whole trial as illegitimate, calling it a scam and a witch hunt. Second, he's tying his re-election to the idea that he's already been cleared in the court of public opinion. Basically, he's saying, if the American people re-elected me, this case doesn't matter. It's classic Trump, turning a legal setback into a political weapon. Now, let's break down this sentencing because there's a lot to unpack here. First off, the big reason Trump got an unconditional discharge is tied to a Supreme Court ruling from 2024, Trump versus United States. Basically, it said that the office of the president comes with some extraordinary legal protections. And that's exactly what Judge Merchan leaned on when he said this.
This court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge.
So what does this tell us? Well, it shows how much weight is given to the presidency itself in our legal system. While the average person might face jail time for the same crime, Trump's sentence highlights how the office of the president operates in its own legal bubble. So, here's the big question. where do we go from here? Does this ruling strike the right balance between justice and presidential immunity, or does it send the wrong message about accountability for those in power? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a message, leave a comment. Honestly speaking, this case is going to shape how we think about justice and the presidency for years to come. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Also, hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching.